So Apple just announced a number of new services. These services, along with others from competitors, has ignited a new age of storytelling for video and games alike. Let's delve in. If you missed it, Apple just announced a number of new services at their recent keynote presentation. But there's a running message within these services, which is becoming a more profound change within the entertainment industry. But for context, let's recap on these services. Firstly, they announced a new subscription gaming service. It's called Apple Arcade. Its purpose is to make more accessible, experimental and story-driven games that have been getting drowned out in the marketplace in favour of more popular free games that rely on things such as in-app purchases as the business model. These free games became popular because they're just that, they're free. Other games that don't rely on such commercial game design usually cost a set price at the beginning, but then offer an uninterrupted and unhindered experience for the gamer. Though still available on the marketplace, they have started to fall out of favour due to the cost hurdle, yet a very small cost, usually only a couple of dollars. Still, the marketplace has started to develop a culture where people are saying, "I'll only get it if it's free." This then relies on hooking the gamer into the game, so they spend money on extras such as add-ons, loot, and a number of other features in order to make a profit. The issue is that this system has to be baked into the game, so there's no avoiding it, and it gets in the way of the player's experience. So Apple saw this trend, and it decided to separate these games that tend to take more risks and focus on more story-centric gameplay, and to give the gamer a more uninterrupted gaming experience. The next subscription service announced was a new video streaming service, along the lines of Netflix and other streaming services. But there was a running theme again with this service. Let me play you a clip from one of their videos announcing this service.
That's the feeling of the idea, that it just becomes irrational. There's a woman sitting in a car in a field. Now I need to know why she's sitting there.
I begin to believe that there's something of myself that I can share with an audience. If I'm thrilled, that's a good sign. If I'm laughing, that's a good beginning.
The announcement of these services, along with a growing trend made possible by other services, such as Netflix, is one that makes me excited and optimistic about the future of the entertainment industry. And that's the ability of new and creative artists now getting the opportunity to tell their stories in the way they want. Let me explain why. The film industry has been around for over a century. It grew from humble beginnings to a juggernaut, where individual films can make billions at the box office and have worked their way into our culture like never seen before. But the old business model relies on individual films that lives or dies depending on the success of that film. Studios tend to put a lot of money into films that make them money and less money into the ones that don't. But the consequence of this is that the wider audience gets less of an opportunity to experience new and creative stories. These stories are willing to expand the art form and try new experimental ideas. And because there is less diversity in storytelling, many filmmakers that do experiment with filmmaking usually have a harder time getting their films made, or simply can't get it made at all. This also means, as an industry, we'll see a glut of films in certain genres that have a history of making money, and scarcity in the ones that are known to make less, regardless of the story or production value. The same can be said for games. More and more increasingly, games tend to be made that are very similar to already existing games in the mainstream video games market. In the early 2000s, this gave birth to an indie movement, where anyone with the passion or an idea could develop a game and sell them on newly formed marketplaces. And these games were great in they ignored the mainstream industry and created games that hadn't been seen before. But as the industry evolved, these games started to get hidden in the noise of other more popular games, offering free, yet usually hindered gaming experiences. This is especially prevalent in the mobile gaming space, where the audience's draw to free games made it the go-to game creation method. The issue with this though, just like someone turning on the lights during a great movie, you were taken out of the gaming experience, where you're asked to to watch ads or cough up extra money in order to return to the gaming experience. And the game developers aren't at fault here. In order for devs to keep creating games we love to play, they have to use monetary methods such as these in order to be paid and keep financing projects. It's an unfortunate reaction to a market that wants something for nothing. But now back to why and how this is changing. The old business method of a single piece of entertainment is now changing into a new streaming model that is rewriting the rules of entry and shedding light onto different genres and outcomes that normally wouldn't get the attention. The new streaming model is relatively simple. In layman's terms, it works by everyone pitching in and having a piece of a shared cake. So the profits of all fund individual projects. This means a project doesn't live or die by the amount of money it makes. The consumers will be paying a set price whether a project is on the service or not. And all the projects on the service combined to create an overall experience, which will convince them to stay subscribed to the service. This new way of business allows, above all else, the ability for these platforms to take risks, experiment, and not being bogged down by making sure it makes X amount just to satisfy investors. It means these services can nurture artists and allow them to give the experience that they want. They can create the stories and experiences that entertain and move us in more unique and diverse ways. And the gates are now open for a larger number of creators with their own experiences and art styles. It means we can finally move away from 20 or 30 games, all clones of one another, and films from genres that are only made because they're known blockbusters. New stories, big and small, can be made by creators in any background, language or faith. The most exciting part for me, we can finally experience what these art forms are like in real life. And that's diverse, ever-changing, and without borders. It means we can focus on life. The good, the bad, the humanity, and the flaws. A new age of entertainment has been born, and it'll impact the world for the better. Because we all now have the chance of being the person around a campfire, telling a story. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please do me a solid. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Or just watch some of these videos here.